Welcome back, traders and investors. We have Nic Chahine on the line, MarketFi maven and author of Create Income with Option Spread. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. How about you?
We're doing good. We're going to change things up a little bit and start out with some questions from the chat before we go into the usual stocks that we talk about with you. We have Jack thinking about looking at some puts on SCTY, Solar City. How's that chart looking to you?
Chart wise, I don't track it fundamentally, so I can only look at the chart. Violent moves, puts would be my guess. If I was looking at it first time, no fundamentals in question. It looks top heavy if I'm looking at it. So I would take puts on based on the chart alone.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. It just came off that $75 level pretty hard. Has some lows around 70, but we took that out yesterday. So looking through follow through here, we're currently trading 68.09, so we couldn't even hold yesterday's low. Needs to get back above the close 68.40. That's going to be your first resistance point. And then we also had any thoughts, and this is a lower price too, Cliff, CLF. Any opinion on this one?
I was looking also to finish up on the other question. The open interest also is conducive to some puts as well.
On
So
SCTY.
CLF, yeah. So CLF, let me first, since I'm on the open interest page, to see if there's anything from that to be told there. Looks like the open interest put defense will probably be around the $15 level. Seems like there's a lot of over interest there, and probably resistance will start around the 17. So it looks like 15, 17, unless I got that wrong here. Let's see. CLS.
It had that nice run up a few days ago, up from
Yeah, that
15.
strong candles. Yeah, strong candles. That's an ugly looking chart. I mean, from the tops that it came down within a year. If you regress it as far as putting a regression line that's pretty straight down, I'm not attracted to charts like that, but if somebody
No.
wants to take a flyer on the upside, but it looks like the option market may have it restricted between 15 and 17, at least for the next few days.
This stock has been a dog for years, really, there, Nick. It got up to $100 in 2011. It's been straight down since. And people will look at this and say, oh, well, it was $100 once, it'll come back. A lot of times these stocks do not come back. I believe there's a statistic that once a stock falls 90% of the time, it's still 10 years later, it's still lower than it was. So basically 9 out
Yeah,
of 10 times these stocks do not come back. You might pick the 1 out of 10. Maybe this will be the 1 out of 10 that goes back to 100, but I highly doubt it. So, the odds are
o-
against you on that.
only if you're masochistic, right? Why would you want to play around with that? I mean,
Yeah.
you would need a really good reason why you want to mess around with a stock like that. That's an ugly chart.
And what about the overall market here, Nick? We had the nice fluff on Thursday, made the all-time high, pulled off during the abbreviated session on Friday. Now we're pulling back again here, and boy, I'm looking at all the. We have multiple lows here at 1964 to 1964.50 up to yesterday's low at 1967 and a quarter. Is this support going to hold up today? And we're going to rally back to new highs?
Well, overall on Thursday, I wrote up the market to guide my this week's trades, and I said, yes, it was a bullish week, but dot dot dot, I can drop the poke a million holes in the bullish theory. So I'm still not scared of a huge run up. I am more scared of a snowball effect downwards than upwards. So the grind higher is available, but the whoosh down is also available. So I'm more scared to go long than short. So what do I do? If I'm short, I book profits all along. I don't let it build up because you never know if it's going to stay there. And if I'm too long, I've got to book some profits. If I don't book profits on longs or protect them, I'm being foolish. So, and I also said I want to pick on some weak names, like Tesla last week was weak, and I traded it in the complex way, and I booked some profits yesterday, and I'm ready to book some profits today on a downward move on Tesla. So overall, the market is open to a snowball effect downwards, but I'm never saying that there's a doom scenario. But if the selling starts, I mean, there's so many weak longs that the sell buttons may come quickly.
What tipped you off on that Tesla
So
there? Was it it snuck over 240 a couple days? Was it that big red candle on Wednesday that got you excited, or were you just thinking it was stalling out around
it
240 and got the top?
it was red on green days. That's the best tell right there. When the stock can't a Momo can't run with the market on green days, then you have to look at it and say, and also previous behaviors when it poked over the 230 level. Yes, the one time before we had a huge candle after the earnings, and then fizzled straight back down to 230, under 230, rallied back up to 230, and broke up. And then like you said, big red candle followed by another candle, followed by another candle. So red, 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 red. That's 4 days in a row.
So you're looking to book profits on this, Nick? I mean, to me, the way I'm looking at
Yeah.
this thing, I mean, you're getting into this big bar run up day that you had on what was this June 13th. You had a little bit of a move, but June 16th was the big move. Are you looking to take it right off here near yesterday's low at 224? Because to me this looks like it's a pretty open vacuum area. I'm not saying it's going down to
Yeah.
210 today, but 206.26 was your low on the 16th. I kind of be thinking you might
If
be
it,
added to it here.
well, the way I structured the trade, I want it to stop at 210. Because what I did is I kind of did I bought a put spread, and then I sold the put spread lower to finance some of the put spread above it, thinking, okay, I want to give it room to drop down to about 210, which looked like the upward trend. It defended the upward trend twice. That will bring it down to about 215, 210. So I said, if it comes down to 210, that's maximum gain for me, and I'll book the whole thing. And I also did on the upside, I sold the credit call spread at 247 when it was higher, collected some premium and financed a small debit call spread that didn't work, so I closed that real quick. So overall, the trade was almost free, almost. And the best place to close it is between 210 and 215. So as soon as it gets close to 215, I'm going to think about closing the whole thing.
Nick, I want to ask you about Priceline because I know that's one of your favorite stocks to trade here. And we had obviously the sell-off after the open table merger, and now the stock has bounced back and it's come back, and I believe it's quite a bit higher than the day that they actually announced the open table merger. What's the open interest saying, and do you have any positions here on Priceline?
Priceline, I do not. I almost opened another short on the same strike I talked to you about before, so selling the January January 2015 call, 1500 call, make it. And I think they were offering, I would have collected like $28.
Wow.
It's still not the $45 I collected before, but it was still high enough. But I didn't do it because I have a feeling that there's something I don't understand about it this week. And I think it's tied to the other stocks in that. So yes, strong momentum upwards, obviously, but it's running up against previous resistance. And you can see yesterday's candle, it touched it, even though it closed strong, but it touched it and dropped down from it. So I'm eyeballing it. I haven't done anything in it, but if it does continue running up, I'm going to sell that call again.
And what about what else is on your list here, Nick?
Well, what I was doing is I'm just scalping profits in the longer term. I'm not trying to put positions to scalp where I can get steamrolled. So what I'm doing is, for example, RUT, that's the small caps. I traded in December, the credit call spread in the 1300s and booked about 5% profits yesterday. So I sold the 1320, 1330 credit call spread, and I collected the $1.75 to $1.80, $1.70 to $1.80 depending when. And yesterday could have been closed for $1, I can't remember exactly, in the 50s. I think I have a few members that closed in the 40s, so they made more money than I did. But I'm the guy that closes ahead of everybody, tells them to close, and they end up getting better pricing. And also, I shorted it on Thursday via this week's 1225, 1230 level, and I collected some nice premium there. And I closed it halfway down. Had I kept it all day, I would have closed it for almost maximum gain at the end of the day. But leaving profits on the table is part of being a successful trader, in my opinion. Hindsight makes me look foolish for closing it early, but it was the right thing to do, and I'd do it again.
On some of these options, is the liquidity there for you to get in and out easily? Like I know when you were talking that price line, the $1,500 option, I was looking, it was like 3-4 point spread. Do you just pay the spread in that case when you want to put it on, or do you try to work the order?
No, I just leave it open. It's surprisingly, especially on Priceline. I mean, it looks like it's not going to trade, but leave it. It'll fire.
So you place the order as a spread.
I place the order. Well, if it's the $1,500 call, I just place the order. I usually start at the mark, and if it's too wide, I even start way higher than the mark in my favor, ridiculously, and see what happens to see if where the premiums are, and then I start trickling down, and I always end up somewhere around the mark. So if you give up a penny up or down, even though the spread is so wide, it eventually fires if you're patient enough. And if it doesn't fire, then it's not there. I just move on and try some other time.
Sitting out there with your limit orders, letting them come and get you. Okay, Nick. Well, thanks for coming on today. We've had Nic Chahine, MarketFi Maven, an author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Check him out on marketfi.com. Nick, thanks for your outlook on the market. We'll get going into earnings season a little bit next week and see what kind of earnings plays you have for us.
Definitely, guys. It should be fun. Thanks again for the invite. I love it.
Okay.